Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and today's video is a little bit different. It is about a blindsided creation. However, the video that I was trying to record at the time completely failed for some reason. I don't know what, and I put a lot of work into this, so let me just show you. It was this one, pattern 16704 from BraceletBook, and it was sent to me by Minute Craft. And I have to admit, when I first saw this, this middle thing in white did not make any sense to me. I actually had to come down here to realize that they're intentionally leaving a hole and stretching these strings going across it, which is something that I absolutely hate. The other thing I don't like is, if you'll notice, this whole pattern is made up of just blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green. And what they've done is it keeps doing a left, right, or a right, left, not, depending on, you know, if it's gonna be blue or green or whatever. It's a way to be able to make a pattern do anything you pretty much want it to, but at the expense of the person making it. Like, the person making it has to struggle with a lot of knots changing directions, and not necessarily, you don't need to do it this way. This is like probably the worst way of doing it. So what we missed out on that video was me working on this. So you'll notice almost immediately that there's only 3 blue strands on either side, so it's not every other one. And I have made it mapped out to where it's not all zigzags, because it doesn't need to be. I've got the holes in it. I limited, so there could have been room for another hole up here and more on the sides, and I decided to kind of limit that. We will still have some holes in it and this little pieces out the side, but it doesn't have to be quite so much. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to making this in a way. At the same time, I know I'm going to hate it, because even with my changes, there's still a lot of zigzags going on, a lot of change ups and things. That's just going to make this harder than I typically care to do. But I think I can do some kind of interesting bits with this, and we can learn some stuff along the way. So that's the plan. Normally, I would have liked to have shown you how I accomplished this. Essentially, what I did was I colored it all in on like 1/4 of it, with, you know, the blues and this pinkish purple here. I colored it all in, and then I mapped out the blues best I could without trying to make it every other string. I tried to make it as easy as possible. One of the things that I realized early on is like this here. So the blue coming down to the right, and we have a blue coming to the left. If I didn't zigzag this out beforehand, then you would end up with a blue in the center, and there's a lot of that throughout the whole thing. Even at the start, if I bring this blue down to the left one more time, it would have to be a blue in the center because the 2 strings meet. So that's why it has to be zigzag. It's what's required in order to make it do the shapes that this thing has. But in general, these kind of bracelets end up looking a little sloppier and stuff, because technically, when it changes direction, there is a small gap where a string isn't at. It's a kind of a nuanced thing, but it exists, and you can actually see the spots in it if you look close enough. And that's why I really like some of the simpler patterns. They end up looking a whole lot better. So that's that. But yeah, I think with the hole in here, I don't like the idea of the strings going straight across, because I feel like that's just something to get snagged, which isn't fun. and then especially if it's on the edges. So we're gonna try to tackle that in a different way and see how that goes. So kinda those aspects I'm kind of looking forward to. The rest of this, I'm not. It's not a fun one. I see why this was submitted, because it's a challenge. It is, you know, a little bit harder to do. So that's okay. I'm also kind of wondering if I'm going to have to like mark off areas that I've accomplished, because the pattern is so repetitive. It's going to be really hard to see where I am and make the change ups for like the hole in the center and stuff, to do that without making mistakes. So there is a possibility that like as I go, I'll take the pencil tool and sort of mark off, you know, what's already been accomplished. Typically that's just reserved for the hardest bracelets to make, but this one, it's just harder to see kind of where you are because of the way it repeats. So if I can make it easier on myself, why not? So that's what we're up against. I'm kinda, well, tomorrow you'll see how it turns out. So there we go. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Sorry about the mix up, and as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.